Imagine growing up where dinner might come from a dumpster, where your father's dreams were as towering as mountains but his demons dug just as deep, and where your family's home could be a ramshackle shack in the desert or the backseat of a car. Now, imagine that through all of this, you carried a vision, a gleaming image of a glass castle your father promised to build, a symbol of beauty, stability, and hope in a life that often felt like chaos. That is the world of The Glass Castle, Jeanette Walls' raw and luminous memoir, a story that asks, how do you love people who both lift you and hurt you? And how do you carry your past without letting it crush you? Jeanette Walls grew up in a family unlike most. Her father, Rex, was brilliant, charismatic, and full of big ideas. He taught her physics while stargazing and promised her a magical life. But he was also an alcoholic, often unable to hold a job or keep his promises. Her mother, Rosemary, was a free-spirited artist who refused to conform, but also refused to take on the responsibility of providing stability. Together, they raised 4 children in a whirlwind of poverty, constant moves, and moments of both wild adventure and deep neglect. When Walls first published her memoir in 2005, she had already built a successful career as a journalist. But the story of her upbringing struck a chord because it wasn't just about hardship. It was about resilience, forgiveness, and the complicated bonds of family. And even now, it remains a mirror for anyone who has had to make peace with a messy past. At its heart, The Glass Castle is about the tension between hope and reality. It's about growing up in circumstances that would break many people, yet finding beauty in the cracks. It's about how the same people who cause you pain can also be the ones who shape your strength. One of the first lessons the book offers is that resilience is not born from comfort. It's forged in the fire of survival. Jeanette's childhood was a masterclass in adaptation. She learned to cook hot dogs for herself at the age of 3 because her parents were too distracted to notice she was hungry. She endured hunger so sharp it made her stomach ache for days. She wore clothes held together by safety pins. And yet, from these challenges came an unshakable ability to figure things out, to keep going even when the path was brutal. The takeaway here isn't to glorify suffering, but to recognize that the skills and grit you develop in hard times can become the very tools that help you build a better life. It's a reminder that when life forces you to improvise, you may end up discovering strengths you didn't know you had. Another powerful theme is the double-edged nature of dreams. Rex Walls' vision of the glass castle was intoxicating, a futuristic home of glass and light, powered by solar energy that he promised to build for the family one day. It was never just about architecture. It was a promise of stability and magic, a life where poverty and chaos wouldn't touch them. But it was also an illusion, something that kept the kids tethered to hope, while reality kept pulling them down. This mirrors what many of us experience when someone we love offers grand visions, but rarely delivers. The glass castle can stand for any dream deferred, a job we're promised but never get, a relationship that's always almost what we need, a future that's always just out of reach. The lesson is twofold. Dreams can keep us alive, but at some point, we have to decide whether to keep waiting for someone else to build them or to start laying the bricks ourselves. Then there's the complicated love between parent and child. Jeanette's relationship with her parents is one of the most haunting parts of the memoir because it refuses to be simple. There were moments of magic, her father giving her the planet Venus as a Christmas present when they had no money, or teaching her to face her fears by swimming in dangerous currents. But there were also betrayals, times when his drinking left the family vulnerable, or when both parents chose their own desires over the children's safety. And yet, Jeanette loved them fiercely. This is a truth many people carry quietly. You can love someone who has hurt you. Forgiveness in her story isn't about pretending the harm didn't happen. It's about accepting the whole of who someone is and deciding how much space they get in your life going forward. The book also speaks to the moment when a child becomes the adult in the family. As the Walls children grew older, they began to realize that if they wanted stability, they would have to create it themselves. They saved money to escape to New York, one by one. They took on jobs, supported themselves, and slowly built independent lives. Jeanette's own escape was both triumphant and bittersweet. She achieved the stability she had longed for, but it came at the cost of distance from her parents. This speaks to a universal crossroad. The moment you understand that loyalty to yourself may require letting go of the life you were born into. And perhaps one of the quietest yet most enduring lessons in The Glass Castle is the power of reframing your story. Jeanette could have told her past as a tragedy, full of neglect and disappointment. Instead, she tells it with a clear-eyed compassion, finding the moments of beauty amid the wreckage. She doesn't excuse her parents' failings, but she also doesn't erase the love and the strange gifts they gave her. This is a kind of alchemy, turning the raw materials of your life, even the painful ones, into something that shapes your future without poisoning it. It's an invitation to all of us to ask, how can I tell my story in a way that honors the truth, but also honors my growth? By the time the memoir closes, we see the Walls family in all their contradictions. Rex dies, never having built the glass castle, but the dream still lived in Jeanette's memory. Rosemary continues to live unconventionally, sometimes homeless by choice. Jeanette herself builds a successful life, yet carries with her the imprint of her childhood, its scars, its gifts, its strange poetry. When I think about what the Glass Castle leaves with us, it's this. Your past may shape you, but it doesn't have to define you. You can love the people who gave you life without repeating their mistakes. You can carry both the glass castle and the hard ground in your memory, knowing that both made you who you are. And maybe the most important thing, you can take ownership of building the life you've been waiting for, instead of waiting for someone else to make it real. If this story resonates with you, I encourage you to read The Glass Castle in full, because the details, the moments between the lines, are what make it unforgettable. And if you've ever carried a dream that felt too fragile to touch, or had to rise above the weight of your own history, this book might just help you see the beauty in the ruins and the strength in your own survival. So think back to the promises that have shaped you, some broken, some kept. Think of the dreams you've inherited and ask yourself, which ones will you keep alive and which ones will you build with your own hands? Because maybe the glass castle was never meant to be a house at all. Maybe it was meant to be the courage to imagine a better life and the grit to make it real.